Hello and welcome to my recording to demonstrate my contributions to the RNA team as a part of the Rich Internet Applications Assessment 1. In this project I had the role of front-end UX designer and tester. My work as front-end was completed by working with other members of the front-end and back-end to describe their visions of how the page should look and function into a front-end they could interact with. My role as main tester was completed by working with both front-end and back-end members on the team to ensure that all features worked and was commented and documented properly. So now I will go through a recording I have here of the front end that I worked on. So as you can see here, this is a very early sketch of what it is that we wanted the page to look like. This is on Figma, so it's not functional, but you can see these are some of the things that myself and the other front-end members wanted to be on the official front-end page. So we wanted to be able to switch between different sites. Here's the second page, and you can see there's a lot has been fixed up here. We worked on trying to make this look as appealing as possible to the users. So the headline goes up top, and then there's an image and the article. Very easy for the user to look from one to the other and be guided. One of the things I really wanted the page to do was to flow, and I think I achieved that by doing this. There's also an extra story up here where the users can see the stories that are going to be up here and also below. Another thing that I made sure to pay attention to was color theory. So you can see the bold color for the current page that we are on, and then it's a lighter shade of that color for the lower areas. So it goes together pretty well, and it also is a reminder to the user what page they are on. So even in this version of the project, other pages are also working, so all the routing stuff is working. So we had to work with the backend to make sure all of that is functional, and we were able to manage that. We've also have the icons here for this is to log in and to click and go on to the different stories. So now we're going to show that the display is also fully functional in all kinds of sizes. This is something myself and other front-end members worked on to make sure that no matter what device you have, you can still use our platform. And here is a final version of the project in which you can see the images are in place from the API, which we worked with the backend to make sure was functional. We have icon buttons down here that we'll go over later in this recording. We have a link button that is also functional, and you can take it to WhatsApp and Instagram and an email, so you can tag someone with the email and it will actually take you to your emails and you can send it to them, which is just makes it very easy for people to share stories around. We have the full story here in this card that I've created, and the cards just make it very easy for more of these cards to be used later on. So it just made it easier on the front end and the back end team to display information on this area. You can see that there is a read full story button that if you click, you will be taken to the actual article to see more from that page. there is an expand button that we will go over later in this recording as well, that actually does expand and you can see more of the story. So as you can see here, these are all different stories. It is all completely functional with the API in the background. Here you can see some of the other cards that I created. These, you can create as many cards as you want because it's just a component that I've created, so you can replicate as many times as needed. This does also work in mobile displays. And it's being shown here. You can see some more of that here. So this like button is also exclusive if you are signed on to an account, which is something I made sure to do, just to give actual logged in members a extra bit of functionality. This does, just showing that this also works with other pages. There are slight color differences because I chose to use colors that were more related to each other in the final design. This is showing the sharing process, so you can see this is actually sharing this information, and it will take the person who you have shared to the actual page using this pop-up that I created. Yeah. So in this project, things were communicated mostly using Teams. However, we did also use other stuff like Trello, and code was communicated using GitHub. The management methodologies, project control was managed through as I said, Trello Kanban board. Designs for the project was developed using Figma, and the developments themselves were carried out with VS Code and IntelliJ. Version control was used with GitHub so that everyone could work on both the front end and the back end at the same time. We split them up. The software that we used was Postman, which I used a lot more to do testing on the back end to help out a little bit. VS Code, as I said, the Django, which was for the back end. We did other programming language. The programming language that we used was JavaScript, TypeScript. It was TypeScript with I used Jest to do some more unit testing on the for the front end code. Our online services are GitHub. So for testing, I conducted most of the testing and went over the front end and back end and ensured all high priority components were functioning. I mainly did this in the front end by manually testing features and using Jest to automatically unit test components. I created a test log, and if a test failed, I would provide feedback on how it could be completed. One example of this was there was a massive cause problem on the back end, and I did a bit of research on how we fixed that, and we did manage to fix it in the end. Main methods of file sharing was Teams and GitHub. Within these, we shared code, initial design concepts, high priority tasks. We also shared workload, so that not to overload a specific member. Our organization of our project and the information within it was very well structured. GitHub's comments were very descriptive, and the VS Code was very descriptive as well, which I made sure to moderate as a part of my testing, and made sure it was more efficient and readable towards the end of the timeline. And our chosen method of communication was mainly Teams. However, we would use other methods when necessary, such as Discord and WhatsApp. We were very frequent in our communications. We had at least one regular team meeting every week, and on the start of the week on a Monday at 4, and we shared what we did over the last week. However, outside of these main calls, we would have maybe 3 to 4 other meetings with other members of the team who we were working with at the time. So if someone had to work with the back end or testing, we would have a call and would talk about what we would have to do. So this is my recording for the RNA project. Thank you very much for listening, and hope you have a wonderful rest of the day.